Squeezer is a guitar effect built in the mid-70s by Dan Armstrong. He built and repaired guitars in New York City in the 60s and later designed pickups for Schecter, amps for Fender, and you've probably seen his line of clear lucite guitars he designed for Ampeg. He even dated Carly Simon and was the subject of Dan My Fling on her debut album, and it's rumored You're So Vain was written about him as well. The Orange Squeezer was part of a series of effects, including the Blue Clipper, Yellow Humper, Red Ranger, Purple Peaker, and Green Ringer, and they weren't really pedals as we think of them now. Dan referred to them as sound modifiers. They plugged directly into the guitar with an L-shaped jack and didn't have a true bypass switch, or any controls besides the power switch. But they were popular with a lot of big artists of the time, and the Orange Squeezer was used by the Doobie Brothers on Taking It to the Streets. Mark Knopfler used it on Sultans of Swing, and the Orange Squeezer gave the solo on Steely Dan's Peg its sound. The circuit for the Orange Squeezer is relatively simple. 2 transistors and half of an op amp, and a trim pot to set the bias and the sustain. It creates gentle compression with a slight bit of distortion, a feedback-style compression. It's debatable if it's an improvement on the original, but many modifications have been suggested to the original circuit, including adding true bypass and controls for volume, gain, compression, attack, and decay. This is the circuit I built off of. A compressor basically processes the original guitar sound, raising the lower signals and lowering the strongest signals. It also adds sustain to the signal, allowing it to linger longer before dissipating. Without the compressor, with the compressor. Okay, the original signal is on top and the affected signal below. You can see the compressor raises up the levels in the low end pretty dramatically and evens out some gaps. I first laid out the circuit on a breadboard, tweaking a few values based on what I thought sounded good, comparing different kinds of op amps and JFETs, but settling back on the original components Dan used. Then I crudely sketched out a map of my circuit board, and once I got it right, I drew it up nicely and printed out on some glossy magazine paper. This is from a National Geographic. Next step is to iron it onto a piece of copper clad, wash off the paper, and etch the board in ferric chloride until all the copper is eaten away. I also etched a simple design on the aluminum case at the same time, using a cut vinyl resist. Once etched, everything is drilled and put together like a big puzzle. I made one mistake on the circuit board design where the LED connects, but was able to work around it without too much trouble. I like how this pedal sounds. It's a subtle effect, but with everything turned up, it's got tremendous gain and a lot of smooth, creamy sustain. It gives a little more articulation and separation to the tones and brings up the bass level quite a lot. I think this one is going to get a lot of use. So let me know if you've ever played an original Orange Squeezer or have one around. I'd love to compare mine to an original and see how it stacks up. So here's one more example of this effect in action. Thanks for watching.